Hi, welcome to the podcast. We are two nurses, one voice. My name is Denise Dawkins. I am the CEO and founder of Dawkins In-House CPR and Professional Services. I go by the Heart Safety Nurse. I am also the founder and owner of the nonprofit organization Global Hands for Hearts.
Hey. Hi, my name is Paula Glenn, and I go by Nurse Lady P. I'm the president and CEO of CareCore Health and Safety Training and also CareCore University, where we do NCLEX training. And so we're so excited that we're here to get started with sharing simple tips that promote health and safety in everyday life.
Real people, real life, real situations. Mm-hmm. And today we are celebrating mothers and self-care. And we have tips that can be implemented for all you mothers out there.
Yes, indeed. So, we're going to start off with just having a conversation with the two of us. And we want to have a conversation to where we share information with you. And we hope that you're going to be able to get some information, glean some information from that and share it with others. So, did you know just under 4 million babies are born in the US every year? So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that there's necessarily 4 million new mothers, but because we have mothers who've had multiple births and things like that. But there are mothers in the US that we are here to celebrate with you today. And one of the things that we want to address, just because it's close to Mother's Day and we're all getting ready thinking about our mothers and thinking about loved ones and people who have taken care of us, is self-care. So did you know the practice? So just a definition of self-care. So self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. So we are very passionate about health and safety, and this is something that we were excited to get started with sharing with all of you.
That's right. And all of you, the definition of all of you are, guess what? Mothers who have given birth themselves, mothers who are stepmothers, parents who have been surrogates, because some surrogates are absolutely still involved in the lives or with the lives of those who they have carried these infants for. So this is all inclusive, and we are including grandmothers as well, because some grandmothers act as parents, foster parents, every parent you can think of, mothers, you're all inclusive. We are leaving no one out.
That's right. So here's a thing. So Denise, let's get started on just a couple of tips that we actually want to talk about, have a conversation about, and hopefully, hopefully everyone can kind of take from this and add if they don't already have it in their routine. Like, I'm hoping that they can take it and maybe add one or two things of it to their daily routine. I know that as we were kind of talking about the tips that we're going to share with everyone, I started taking my own personal notes, because I'm like, okay, I need to do this because I know I don't do enough of that already. And I don't necessarily do all of them, but I don't do them consistently. So as we're sharing tips and stuff like that, I urge you just to kind of take notes and maybe implement them into your daily or weekly or monthly routine.
You're absolutely right, Paula, because I found some things that I have not done myself. As I'm going through my list, I'm like, how can I be sharing this with people? And I'm not doing it myself. But I found one or two that I do. And what you do is the one or two that you do very well. It's one day at a time. And that's that's life, right? One day at a time. So you hone in on those things that you do and you make them better. And then you add as you go. So I'm just going to free all the mothers up to begin with. The first thing we want to talk about is just affirmations, right? Self-care affirmation for mothers. Now, I'm going to just free you all, like I said, to begin with. The first affirmation that I have here on this list is: the decisions made by other moms do not need to dictate mine. The decisions made by other moms do not need to dictate mine. Now, you may think, oh, that doesn't sound much of self-care, but it absolutely is. How many of us worried about what our neighbors have to say, what strangers have to say, what our own families have to say about the way we raise our children? Our children are not the same. You know what is best for your child. So do not take up the burden of what someone else's decision. I mean, we all have friends and families that may give us advice, but at the end of the day, we have to be the one to make that decision. What is necessary and what pertains to that child, their actions, what it is that is needed for them, that is going to help you, them, and the entire family to move forward. You know,
you, Denise. Like, I mean, I always say that as a former PICU nurse or that's working in the pediatric intensive care, I came across a lot of new moms. And so, you know, the moms, their babies would have surgery like right after birth and they'd come home. They're like, well, I don't know how to do this. And I always used to share with people, being a mother myself, is that you get inundated with like tips and all that because people care, because people want to help you.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, you'll eventually settle out to see what really works for your family unit. Like, I mean, you know, the baby needs to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. It may not work for everyone's family unit. My kids didn't wake early in the morning. However, some people, if they work evenings, they work evenings from 3 to 11 or whatever. The baby waking up at 7 o'clock may not be the best for them. So, if their child wakes up at 9 o'clock in the day, then it works better for their family unit. So, but just kind of knowing and understanding that you take that advice and you look at it and then you just kind of like put it into the box that works well for you is the best advice I think anyone can give you. So definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thank you for adding that to that, Paula. Absolutely. So this is a self-care tip in itself, because what we tend to do is take on the burden of others, right? We put it in our minds. Now it troubles us. And when we have emotional stress and physical, it weighs on the body. We want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So we don't want what other people having to say. You take what you can use for yourself, but you are not mandated to run your home, your family, and raise your children the way those people on the outside, your family and your friends, are demanding or suggesting that you do. That alone is stress-free. Just knowing that you're able to make those decisions on your own. You don't want a burden on your back, always feeling like you have to be pressured to do what someone else is telling you to do.
Yeah,
so that was pretty good.
Once you get to that point, it's pretty liberating. Get over
that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm living it out for myself now because I have a 14-year-old and it's a handful at this age, the hormones and a lot of things that he's going through and that I have to go through along with him. And when I share, depending on who I'm sharing with, they're like, well, girl, if that was my son, I would just get something and hit him, or I just do the. Girl, he is 213 pounds, about 5'11". Hello, I'm not about to hurt myself on him. No, I'm not going to hit him. Hello. Right. So, you just have to find things and ways to be able to discipline him. I can't listen to what everybody else is telling me. And that is what I'm saying to you all. Just knowing that the decisions made by other moms do not need to dictate your decisions. That alone is self-care. Yeah. The other thing I had down here is, as far as self-care affirmation, just as the need of my children matter, so is my own. Mm-hmm. And I know, Paula, you may have something to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm writing it down to take notes and stuff like that for myself. Your kids are important. Your kids are totally important because in most cases, our kids are our world. And I say that to share that their needs do matter, but you have to build up your body and you have to be there. You have to be in a good position to take care of them. So you need to pour into yourself so that you can pour into their cup, because how do you pour into their cup from an empty cup. So, and that's where self-care comes in, where you need to fill yourself with your self-affirmations every day, fill yourself with routine, just things that work for you and that, I don't want to say feel good, but things that work for you that kind of help you balance your life. Because if you're not balanced, you can't help your children, you can't help your family members, and you can't help even your community. And I always think about, as we kind of go through, life, whether it's struggles or, triumphs, valleys, whatever we go through, you have to take care of home first before you can take care of out, before you go into work. Whatever happens at home always, can translate outside of the home into the workplace or wherever. So it really starts with you. It really starts with making sure that you do little things. And I'm not saying that if it's kind of like rough right now, that you just stop everything and then you just start doing. It's a little thing at a time. Take one step at a time to fill up your cup. And then as you do that, then you can get into the routine. And then that will then help your children be better in whatever it is that you want them to be.
Hey, that's why we're called Two Nurses, One Voice,
That's
because
right,
we're going
right.
exactly into the next thing that I have written here, and we have not discussed any of these things. So this is a prime example. The next thing I have written here on self-care affirmation is taking care of myself is taking care of my family. And Paula just actually wrapped that up in what she just said. If you do not take care of yourself, if you are not the best you, how can you pour into your husband? How can you pour into your children? How can you then pour into yourself? So you just have to know that you have to take care of yourself. I always remember like we all, well, I'm not gonna say we all, but for those who have taken flights before, when you get on an airplane and they start to give you the instructions, right? And they tell you, when you have children traveling with you, as the parents, you have to first put that oxygen mask on your face, and then you'll be able to help them or give to them. So you have to take care of yourself first. It's perfectly fine to take care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you are in turn taking care of your family member. You have enough energy. Remember, you need that time. You don't want to, people reach a threshold where they'll snap, or where they have a meltdown or a breakdown. You don't want to get to that point. You want to be able to make sure that you're taking those time, you're taking those breaks that you need. And it's.
Hold on one sec, just the volume.
You will be able to take care of yourself better. I probably
Denise, I'm gonna go back to what you had said about the flights. I remember as a first-time mom, my daughter, who's now 21, she had we'd taken her flight when she was 9 months old, and we got on the flight, and then you've flown many times before. As a child, our parents used to fly us out, every year and stuff like that in the summers and stuff. But when I got on that flight, and then they had said, take care of yourself, and then any kind of lap child or whatever, then you take care of your child. Initially, I was like, oh, it was hard to kind of process, and then it's not. So you kind of sit back and you realize, and you're like, oh yeah, if I don't take care of myself, then how am I going to take care of her? So I love that analogy. I love that analogy, because that kind of hit home back then too. And I mean, just like now in anything that we do, and so on. So yeah, so love that one. Definitely helpful.
Absolutely. The next self-care affirmation that I have on here, listen, ladies, listen, mommies. I can repeat after me. I can do anything, but I can't do everything.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I can do anything, but I can't do everything. And Paula, looks like you're ready to jump in on this one here.
No, don't we know? I mean, for those of you who don't know, we did mention, Denise and I mentioned that we're both business owners. And we connected because we are both in the health and safety training business. And so although we are many states apart, and so Denise, what state, we want to share what state you're in?
I am in Florida, South Florida.
And I'm in Texas, so I'm in Central Texas. And so as far apart we are, we still have so many things that we actually connect on. And as we're meeting, as we're talking on the phone, my kids are asking me questions, Denise's kids are asking questions and stuff like that. So it is hilarious, but it's true. It's just kind of like, you know, once you kind of come to that reality, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to not do everything. It's okay.
Absolutely. And that's what we want you mothers out there to know. It's okay not to do everything. You have children, whatever their age are, whatever chores are appropriate at their age, take some things off your hands. Get your husbands involved. It depends on the culture as well. Some homes may believe that the wives are responsible to cook, clean, wash, and iron. And at the end of the day, still have to perform their wifely duties. Whatever the case may be.
You're in 2020, but I understand.
2020, right?
Oh, sorry, 2021. Exactly. Oh, what was I thinking?
And I'm agreeing with you, right? It's 2020. Listen.
It feels like 2020.
We a redo. Well, not exactly the same type of redo, but it's like we missed out an entire year. So I don't blame you for saying 2020. But yeah, mommies, we just want you to know that you don't have to do everything. You can delegate some things to your family members, to your children. And if you can't get to the laundry today, don't get to the laundry today. Save that thing, put it over for another day. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with duties of the house every single day. Mm-hmm. Self-care, self-love is absolutely important.
Definitely.
The next thing I wanted to say here is, I would say about establishing personal boundaries. But I think the most important thing, and my last tip on this self-care affirmation that I'm going to find that's important is, it says, my self-care is worth making time for. My self-care is worth making time for. That's something that we might need to repeat throughout the day.
Yeah.
My self-care is worth making time for. Because we make time to do everything concerning our children, our spouses. I mean, I'm not married personally, but in general, our spouses, we have elderly parents, we have aunties, we have nieces and nephews, we're godmothers. Listen, and we ignore ourselves. So we have to be able to know that our self-care is worth taking the time for. And we say it easily, it's not easily done. And that's why you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional in making sure that you take this time for your self-care.
I like that where you said be intentional. I think I definitely agree with that. Because I mean, as many times as we think, just, you know, in general, you think of like, okay, I'm going to plan this, or yeah, I know I should do that, but you're not, if you don't plan it, then, you know, then it might not come, because I'm a calendar person. So if I put everything on the calendar, and if it's kind of not on the calendar, then it might not get done. So,
right.
Yeah, so that is definitely a good tip for all you moms here. And these are just nice reminders. I mean, and you know what? For those of you who maybe didn't know about this before, it's great lesson. It's great tips to kind of like know about, because for some people it's reminders, but some people it's just kind of like, hey, this is something that you can do, and it's okay. And I say that because we as seasoned parents can share with you. You know, we both have children that are, well, I have pre-elementary, college graduate this year. And Denise has the same. Denise has, you know, college, and then she also has elementary. So take it from us, from seasoned parents, I guess. We haven't gone through that. Have you gone through the other stages outside of that, the 30s yet? Denise?
Yeah, I actually do, because my oldest one is 31.
Okay, so we are definitely seasoned parents.
They have their own problems. Right. They bring their whole life into your life. I'm telling you, that's why you need to be intentional about your own self-care, because now you have your own home, and then your children that's aging out, I would call it aging out, then they start to have their own problem, and guess where they come back? Home. So you have all of these things on your plate. Yeah.
And we want to be there for them
right.
because they are still our babies. They're still our babies, and people have different I guess, like, perspectives and stuff like that, and what that's supposed to look like. They're babies, and we definitely will always take care of them. At least that's from my perspective. Like, they always can have a home here. So that's kind of my take on that. So definitely be intentional about your time. And still give to your children, because that's what we as mothers do. We care for, we give, and that's just part of our nature. And I always think of, as nurses too, we are just kind of like tenfold, from that perspective. But definitely be intentional, because it's definitely needed in order for you to maintain, I don't want to say maintain your sanity, because that's not quite that, but you definitely have to be intentional. So for our next point on celebrating mothers and self-care is what I always like to say is, like, build a routine. So routines help. I've tried both. I've done the whole building a routine, and then I've done, like, oh my God, I'm too tired for this or whatever. But routines help. Your whole day doesn't need to be structured or anything like that, but make sure you build a routine. And when I think about building a routine that helps with your personal self-care, I think about bedtime. So with he's not toddler, I guess preschooler, he's 4 years old. With my 4-year-old, what I always think about my older ones, like, they went like clockwork, like, went to bed, woke up and stuff like that. And my 4-year-old, because there's older kids that, he kind of likes to hang out with, sometimes you kind of get away from that. It's bedtime. You need to, go to bed or whatever. So I've had to, like, remind myself that, whoa, he needs to get into a routine. So bedtime's always a good thing to do. So, have your children understand the expectations of bedtime. Routine's always good. This is kind of around the time that we always eat dinner. This is kind of around the time that we always take baths. And then we know that after bath is bedtime. Once you get your child into bed initially, especially if they don't like to necessarily go to bed at a really on the average time. If they don't go to bed between the 7 and 8 o'clock period, or they may prefer like 10 or 11, take that time back. I always say reclaim that time, because that time, if you put them to bed earlier, then you have an hour or two by the end of the night where you can actually just kind of decompress. And so decompressing is a part of self-care that's important, to just kind of restart yourself before you kind of wind down. And restart yourself on winding down for the night. I'm just kind of like, I just wanted to give like an example of a bedtime routine that, and people may have different routines, but this is just an example of one of them. Maybe possibly if you have dinner around 6 or 6:30, and then maybe bath time is 7 o'clock, between 7 and 7:30, that your child knows that that's when they're going to have their bath time. And then bedtime is 8 o'clock. So even though they might not go to sleep at 8 o'clock, that's fine. But I think one of the things that I always like to stress is that you're going to go to bed, you're going to lay down in your bed. After that, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you. Unless the place is burning down or anything like that, you should not come out of your bed. So I think with my older one, what I taught her was that your feet do not touch the floor after nap time. Now, it would get a little bit concerning when it was like nap time during the day, and she'd be like, "Mom, I need to go pee." But that's kind of something that I instilled. So I would get up and I was like, okay, I'd go and be like, okay, you can come out the bed to go pee or whatever. But my little one, he just goes and pees whenever he wants. Like, he gets out of bed. But going back to the whole routine, that they know that this is an expectation that they're going to be in their room or in their bed at that time. And then whether they're sleeping or not, it's your quiet time. Just take that time to do what you need to do. I always do after they're in bed, maybe 20 minutes or whatever, just cleaning up, straightening up the house and stuff like that, and then just sit down. You know, some people, there's many things that people do. You know, I'm not like a big drinker, but some people drink. Some people have a glass of wine, maybe just sit down and decompress, read your book, maybe watch TV or something like that. So that's part of the self-care. That's part of the decompression, just kind of grounding yourself in a routine. And once you kind of do that, then you're giving yourself some time. Then you will feel the difference. And that kind of helps with your stress, managing stress and things like that. Did I kind of hit everything that we kind of talked about with routine? Denise, is there anything that you?
I think that you pretty much did a good job with that. Again, let me just, two nurses, one voice.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we don't discuss these things before we come on here. We just kind of flow right in. And it was something that you said about after dinner, after brushing your teeth. I have that as like seal the deal, because that seal the deal. Yeah, this is,
I like that.
Listen, when this is done, you know you head into the bedroom. This is when you lay your head down and go to sleep, say your nightly prayers, and it is over, right? So I call it seal the deal.
Okay,
and the routine. I like the fact that you said after dinner, because absolutely, after dinner, you know that whatever time dinner is, after you brush your teeth, basically after you brush your teeth, you make your urine or whatever you want to do, you're going to bed after that. And you have to be consistent with this, because if you're not consistent, then they begin to take advantage of that and start to break the rules that's put in place. And when they do that, it's like they have a built-in thing that know that they can push that line, they can push that boundary, and after a while, everything just kind of go out the door. So you have to remain consistent with allowing these rules that's set in place, and even before they go to sleep, or for mothers out there who has not established a routine bedtime as yet, begin to have that conversation with your children. You know, of course, bedtime would be whatever the age appropriate bedtime. And the younger they are, the earlier they will go to bed. So just begin to have that routine, that conversation with them, kind of breaking them in a little bit. So when it's that time, that kicking and screaming, you have to also be able to kind of ignore that behavior, because if you don't ignore that behavior, then they're going to feel that they can also do what they want to, including coming to your bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they say it takes 21 days to establish a routine, right? So to know that this is not something that's overnight, like, you know, within a week. I mean, although it may help it within a week. So I like to address I know that you had mentioned age appropriate bedtime. At one point when I was a single mom for my kids, when they were teenagers, I guess like young teens, when our bedtime rules was, this is when I was going back to school and I was doing school online, was do not come to my room after 9:30. After 9:30, because between 9:30 and 11 o'clock, that's when I was doing my homework. We had, I came home from work. We had our dinner. We had some time together, whatever. At 9:30, I always say ghost. I be in my room. So don't come and knock on the door unless you're bleeding, you can't breathe, or the house is burning. Okay. And you need to call 911 first before you come in. And so it got to the point where, because that's the time where I needed to study. And so initially it was kind of like, okay, we'll do that 2 days a week. And then I did that 5 days a week. And I was like, you know what? This is my time, because this is the time that I'm actually able to study and do my homework so that I can get an extra degree to help you, to help you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's about what you pointed out earlier, even though you're talking about the degree, but this is where this is a part of self-care, because they give that mom like you mentioned earlier, that downtime to do whatever she wants to do. It could just be sitting there in total silence. It doesn't matter. She needs that time. Moms, you need that time.
That's right.
So you have to be consistent with that.
And we have, it's funny, so we do date nights on certain nights. And so my 4-year-old, he'll come in and then we're kind of like, it's time to go to bed. Oh, do you have date night? Yes. Yes, we do. And so like, he knows that. So he's like, okay, good night, and there's like no questions. I mean, he may ask older siblings or something like that if he wants some water, but he knows those boundaries and those routines and stuff like that. So, I mean, it doesn't work right away, but it does work. And then it kind of gives you that time back. So it's definitely.
Okay. Well, was it because you had that conversation with him, kind of putting it out there to all of them that this is mommy and daddy date time, so we don't want any disruption?
Yeah, so it was kind of, before COVID, we would go out. We'd go out once a week or something like that. And sometimes it'd be so funny because we don't know where we're going, but we're doing something because we need to have just a date night away.
Exactly, right.
And so, I mean, we go get takeout or whatever, it's in the car, say we're going to movies. I was like, okay, there's only so many movies we can go to. And then COVID happened. And so we're kind of like, okay, we still need to do this date night or something. And so it kind of got to the point where we were like, okay, we're going out, we're going to go do a drive-through, and then we would go and, get drive-through and go sit at the park or something like that. But at that time was the older kids that they were going to babysit their brother because that was our time. So it came to a point where we would just order in and we'd either be in the backyard or we would just, be somewhere in the house or whatever. But that was our time. So pretty much the kids, it's funny because the kids, anyone who would so our older two who are away at school, they would call and be like, oh, you guys got date night? Okay. And then the two that are here, they're kind of like, oh, was it a date night thing? And we'd be like, yeah. And so it was funny. But the thing is that after talking about that, establishing that routine, the kids get it. And that's just what it is. And that's an expectation. And with the little one too. But you have to verbalize that, exactly what you had said. You have to have a conversation about it.
Having that conversation. And of course, when the younger they are, they don't really understand. So having that conversation is kind of explaining to them that it's essential to get sleep. And, this is where your growth or when your growth sprout kind of take place, and it makes you more energetic the next day. Little things will kind of plant that seed in their head. So the mommies, listen now, because it'll make your routine for them a little bit easier once you begin to have that conversation with them and explain to them why concerning sleep. Then it'll be much easier, and you can have that time to yourself that you need. That was good stuff, Paula.
Indeed. Yeah. So Denise, you have another point. You have our next point about taking advantage. So
I do. Taking advantage of what is in front of you. A lot of times, parents or mommies, we're talking about mommies because it is for Mother's Day. This is your Mother's Day drop.
And that's self-care, celebrating others.
Okay. So a lot of times we think we have to spend a lot of money, right? We can't do it sometimes, or because we're so caught up with the family, we don't have time. Remember, your self-worth or your self-care is worth it. But these are little tips that you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on, but we want you to implement these things now in order for you to get that break you need, that self-care that you need. So the first thing I have on my list, again, taking advantage of what's in front of you. Believe it or not, organization is something that's right in front of you that you can use. The more organized you are, and I'm going to have to be transparent because I have not mastered this as yet, Paula, but I'm working on it. You know what I mean? It's just like they say, you write all your goals down, you make it realistic, and you kind of go at it one by one. So you have to be organized. Take the time the evening before, the night before, and jot down all the things that you have to do. Because remember that we are dropping our children to school, those who are, back on campus. We still have doctors visits for those who are, the offices that are open now. I mean, we have all sorts and type of things that's going on. Whatever it is you have to do, it could be simple as taking a shower. Write those things down, get it organized. And I say time block them. Because when you time block them, you're able to manage your time so much better. You may go over a little bit and you may find that you finish before time, which still gives you at the end of that night, right, more time for yourself. So getting organized is one self-care tip that you need to actually do, and make it a routine. Make it a routine. Anything you want to add to that?
I agree. No, I totally agree. I like that time block. And it's funny when you first said shower. Initially, I was kind of like, huh, but it's so true because, shower. Sometimes you gotta time block the shower time. It's real. It's real that sometimes you really have to just time block the shower part. Because sometimes you kind of get so caught up in, doing things and running things. I mean, of course, if you have a routine, if you're going to work and so on, but I mean, as a stay-at-home mom, like sometimes you're kind of like, okay, I need to make sure I do this and I need to make sure I do that. So I totally agree with you where it's time blocking things are important.
Awesome.
Take advantage of that. That's free. That's free.
That's free. That's free.
We're all about that. That is free. That is free.
Right. The next tip I have for taking advantage of what's in front of you is taking advantage of early mornings for self-care routines. That is important. That is, you wake up, whatever time you wake up, and once you start to do this, you may feel that you may want to wake up maybe 15, maybe 20, 30 minutes earlier. If you're setting your time, if you're working through your routine throughout the day, again, like you mentioned earlier, it doesn't all happen overnight. But once you begin to get in the routine, you'll find where you will have that extra something, that extra time. So waking up a little bit earlier in the morning won't help if you find in that time where you're getting to bed on time or early, whatever that looks like for you. So doing self-care in the morning or having a self-care routine, such as stretching. I am getting in the habit. I used to do that. I'm getting back in the habit of stretching. Stretching can help with the muscles and the tension that's in the body. You feel so much better. So stretching, whether it be prayer and meditation, whether it's just sitting silently before you go out and start making breakfast, before you go out and wake up the children, because once your day gets started, that's it. You're at a go. So you need this time early in the morning where you will be able to sit, take that time for yourself, sitting quietly, listening to empowering, those empowering videos or meditation that will help to build you or your self-esteem. You can do that. Self-development podcast, positive thinking in those times, reclaiming your mind, right?
Nurses one voice as we share information and stuff like that.
Right. Positive thinking and self-care affirmations, which were some of the things we just went over. And remember, ladies, I freed you in the beginning by telling you the decision made by other moms do not need to dictate mine. That is something you can wake up saying every single day, because those things plant seeds in your mind. Then depending on how you receive it, it could be something negative or positive, but we want to stay on the positive grounds and being intentional about fixing yourself up as well. Again, I am not 100 at that. I may have my little ponytail right now with a little red lipstick on because I know I'm here coming to do this podcast. You can't see me. Well, it depends on what we do with this, but I don't look like this every single day, but I have a friend. It doesn't matter. Rain, snow, uh, hurricane, every single morning, that lady gets up and she has a routine and she makes sure that she fixes herself up. Now, you don't have to go in there and put on a whole face of makeup, but if you don't wear lipstick or lip gloss, do something different tomorrow. Get up and put a little lip gloss on. Get up and put a little lipstick on. I'm from the islands. I'm from Jamaica. And my mom, Paula, you probably heard this before. They always tell you, wake up in the morning and wash up, take a bath and fix yourself up in order to also keep your man, right? Because you want to be able to be sassy for your man too. I mean, it's self-care, but you want your man to be attracted to you so he don't have wandering eyes. So you have to take care of yourself. If you're not used to, putting the hair in a ponytail, brush that hair up, put it in a ponytail, get some gel, tie that thing down, have all the front, have it laid. Get some baby hair. Like the point is, do something different because the way you feel about yourself, the way you look, is your attitude for the rest of the day. Most of the time, believe it or not. You feel positive about it. What do you have to say about that, Paul?
No, I'll tell you that because my sister-in-law, I mean, every time I've called her early in the morning or whatever, or we've gone on vacation together and she's up and makeup done. I say face on, hair did, by 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm just waking up. If I'm going out, maybe I'll put some mascara on or something like that. Actually, come to think of it, I forgot to do that today. Mascara, but yeah, I mean, I like that idea, but I will definitely tell you that makes you feel much better about yourself. Just a couple of things when you had mentioned about waking up and stretching. And one thing that I know that I did, and this is not necessarily self-care for me, but I'm a parent of a child with chronic illnesses and with a chronic condition, and she's normal, right? Doing really well or whatever, but she's had situations where she just has chronic pain. And one of the things that we always do, that I always did from her, and so Denise mentioned she's from Jamaica. My parents are from Jamaica too. So I mean, when we were flying back every summer, that's where we were flying to. Our teachers, we'd be like, oh my gosh, we have to go to Jamaica again. And then my teachers were like, I wish I was going to Jamaica for the summer. You never really understand it until you appreciate, at the end that what it really was. So one of the things that, I was always like, lively up yourself, fix up and, put yourself together. Well, when regardless of when she wasn't feeling well, when we had rough nights, rough mornings, the first thing we do is we get up, we brush our teeth, wash our face, comb our hair, put on day clothes. She can be in bed for 4 days, but we're getting up and we're going to put on day clothes. Even if I'm changing her in the hospital bed, we're putting on day clothes, And so that pushes you to feel better about yourself. And then as you feel better about yourself, you have certain expectations that you can move into that wellness, move into that changing your mindset. So I definitely agree that is 100% something that's important. I mean, in the pandemic, I was home and I do virtual training and so on. So for a period of time, I did mainly virtual training. I still woke up in the morning and I still got myself together and stuff like that. Even though I had a couple training sessions in the afternoon, in the morning, I felt like when I got up and I would get dressed for the day, then it was much easier as opposed to lagging. And then I'm just before my session, then I would get up and get changed. So definitely agree with that. And if you are a mom, if you're someone who hasn't necessarily done that routinely, try it for a week. See how it'll make you feel. And we'd love to hear, I mean, even if you want to send notes on, wherever you go, and let us know how you try it for a week. And it definitely would make a difference. Because I know that my child, she as she's older, she's like, yeah, I guess it feels better. And now it's standard. She's not feeling well. She pushes through, gets up, changes her clothes, gets everything, and then we'll still lay in bed because she's not feeling well or whatever, but it's something that we continue to do. So yeah, so I love that one. Love that one.
Yes, yes. 2 nurses, 1 voice. Okay.
So I think that's what we have today, Denise, to share with our mothers, celebrating mothers and self-care. I just want to say we're excited. I'm excited that this is something that has been in our heart and that, you know, we wanted to do. And so when Denise was like, I'd like to do a podcast, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we can actually do it together. And, you know, we have different experiences and thing, you know, I've been a nurse for 21 years and we've been, you know, I've been in a couple of different areas and stuff like that. So we both have different experiences and bring it together. And we're both moms, you know. Yes. I think that's probably the best, the best job of them all, you know, and stuff. So I'm totally excited. So just to recap, couple things, words of affirmation, they're important. Even if you write little notes to yourself, I mean, you know, get a sticky note, put it on your bathroom glass, your bathroom mirror, put it in your car on the dashboard, put it on your desk right by your laptop, you know, like, you know, my husband has words of affirmation all around his computer screen, you know, so that's something I have, like my little 2 things that I say that are right on the side of my computer monitor, and stuff like that. So words of affirmation are very important. And don't worry about what everyone else is saying or what everyone else does. Do what's best for your family, because that's what will get you through. That's with the routine. And then routine scheduling. Routine, let's set it in stone. Just because you put it down doesn't mean you have to follow it, but try as best as you can, because that will kind of help creating healthy ways and healthy things, and start on that road to kind of self-care and giving your time back. Not that I'm a procrastinator or anything like that. Guilty, but scheduling helps. And then taking advantage of what you have, exactly what Denise said. Like, you know, not everything has to be a paid advertisement. Not everything has to be like you pay for this scheduling or that app or whatever. There's a lot of free resources. I mean, Denise had talked about meditation and prayer. There are lots of Instagram accounts and stuff like that that you can follow that post different exercises on a daily basis, post different meditation. I mean, YouTube has like different meditations and stuff like words of affirmation that you can download every day. So there's so many resources and stuff like that. And our goal is to bring you the community resources that we're aware of, to bring them in the forefront, so that you can use for yourself.
Okay, awesome. For the takeaway today, I would say, please remember, taking care of yourself is taking care of your family. Mm-hmm. Don't think you cannot stop to enjoy life, to enjoy nature, to take that walk, to sit outside and listen to the birds, to strengthen the place or the space that you spend your most time in. Spruce that thing up, get some decorations, some scented candles, put on some music, sit on your porch, take care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, you can better take care of your family.
Yes, and that's coming from 2 Nurses, 1 Voice. My name is Paula Glenn. I do health and safety training, and you could always reach us if you have any health and safety training or virtual training needs. You can reach us at www.carecoretx.com. And then we also do nurse tutoring. So definitely connect with us at carecoreuniversity.com.
And my name is Denise Dawkins. I go by the Heart Safety Nurse. I am found on Facebook as Dawkins In-House CPR and Professional Services, but you can put Dawkins In-House CPR. And also, if you type in the Heart Safety Nurse, I'm always hashtagging, so it'll still lead you back to Dawkins In-House. Found on Instagram as the Heart Safety Nurse. And I'm also the CEO and founder of Global Hands for Hearts. Thank you so much for joining us. We had an amazing time.
Amazing time. Love it, love it, love it.
I hope that you will definitely join us again. Follow us on our platforms.
Yeah. All right. I'm on Facebook and Instagram too and stuff. So we'll take care and have fun.
Have fun. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy.
Happy Mother's Day.